right, guys, this is it. It's pretty bad. We're losing the brewery. This shit's real. Yeah, we just lost Canton. Canton is flooding bad, and we're losing it. So. Welcome to the BearClad show. I'm Kevin Sandifer, president of BearWaters, and joining me today is my business partner, vice president, COO of the company, Art O'Neill.
Hello, everybody.
You guys have probably checked out our first episode by now, which was under a lot different circumstances than we're coming to you from today. We are recording this podcast here in the brewery post flood devastation. As some of you may know by now, Tropical Storm Fred made its way up into the mountains of western North Carolina and dropped a tremendous amount of rain in a short period of time just up river from us here in the upper Crusoe Pigeon River basin, and we were overcome with water in a very short period of time. It was a very surreal, I think, experience for us that were here. We had about half a dozen staff on the property when the river breached and came out of the banks and into the properties, and so it was pretty remarkable. But we want to talk about, some of the amazing things that have come out of this tragedy. We want to tell you a little bit about what's happening with the brewery, our timeline, some things that we're working on here at BearWaters in Canton to help rebuild not only our own company and our own facility, but continue our mission and our commitment to our local community and helping our local community recover and build back from this tragic event. It's been quite an experience, I think, for all of us in a different way, but I think in the end it's really brought us closer together, not only with the community but within our own ranks.
Our own staff,
So Art was with me the day that this happened, and I think one of the last moments that happened as the river was coming into the building and flooding the property, I had kind of vacated the property ahead of Art. He was grabbing the last few critical documents and things that were in our office and throwing them in his truck, and I remember just seeing him barely escape out of here before they closed it down. Why don't you talk a little bit about those final moments? That was pretty intense as I watched you kind of drive out of water that was up to your doors on your truck.
Yeah, I think we felt like we might be winning, and we're holding the water back, and a surge came that reminded me of a ocean wave, where it just washed everything you were holding away, and we realized then that the building was going. So Kevin and I both got all of our staff out of the building. As he said, I grabbed some documents, made it out to the truck. The truck two in front of me unfortunately made the decision to stop in the middle of the road, and so the water swept his truck away, and the truck in front of me decided then to back up, and I was saying, no, you can't back up, you got to go. And so I moved over to the left, let him back up, and I just gunned through the current, made it through, but then the police just stopped all the rest of the cars, and I think we lost an ambulance and maybe one of the police cars to the water.
Yeah. As you know, when you actually witness something like that in person, it's it's pretty surreal, because I think when you think about flooding and floodwaters, your natural assumption is that you're going to have plenty of time to react, plenty of time to maneuver, and circumvent any real danger or hazards. But I think what we learned in this catastrophic event was the sheer force and speed at which that water came out of the mountains and out of the riverbanks, and how it just suddenly kind of swallowed up the surrounding areas, parking areas and buildings. I would imagine it's probably similar to what people who have been through tsunamis have experienced, that that all of a sudden that water's on top of you and you're just like, what is happening? And it was pretty frightening for me to be on higher ground and watch you trying to make that escape, and I was just so glad to see you get through it, and that you were able to get through and get out, because I knew you're kind of the last soldier out of the building, and
it's when you say that word, the next day when we realized the damage, it felt very. I've never been in a war, so I don't even want to pretend like I have. I just mean it felt so overwhelmingly devastated around you. I think maybe there was a certain amount of shock that first day in the late afternoon. I was here by myself, and I was sitting on our dock. I just thinking about what had happened, and I looked down and my shirt was wet.
Yeah.
And I realized I was crying.
Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling like I normally feel when you cry. It wasn't like I was sad. It was more like, what just happened, and what do we do? I remember asking Kevin. I was like, "What? Tell me something to do. Get my body moving, because I don't know where to start." Yeah. And he said, "Just pick up something and move it." And so I did. And anyway.
Yeah,
I think that's what our staff is feeling, is that sense of grief at what we had worked so hard to build, just in seconds is taken away from you. And we're not alone. The whole community experienced this. So, a mile and a half up the road is the normal world that's just going on like it always has. But there's this little zone down here that's a brown zone of mud that's anyway we're rebuilt.
It's a lot to process, and this is my second disaster. When I was in the military, I was stationed on Homestead Air Force Base when Hurricane Andrew hit in South Florida, and this brought up a lot of those old memories, the smells, the sights of walking back into a space that's covered in mud and water and damage everywhere. Whether it's wind or water, I think there's a lot of similarities in how the damage is happen on the properties. And I think that at least it gave me a little bit of prior knowledge of logistics and how to start tackling this, and we put a plan into place. And this is where the story starts to really turn for us, is the incredible outpouring of love and support from our community. And when we built this brewery, we wanted it to be a community center, not just a brewery. And you always wonder in the back of your mind, I think deep down, have we accomplished our goal? Have we really created something that the community loves or is embraces? And in the face of tragedy like this, we've gotten the answer in spades that absolutely we have, because the sheer number of people that have just showed up and grabbed a shovel and put on boots and got in here and helped dig out mud and help us carry our equipment and possessions out into the yard and start pressure washing and cleaning things has been both awe-inspiring and it's just been very humbling to see that. People, there are people that showed up here, I didn't even know who their names or who they were, and they're right beside us, rolling up their sleeves, working like it was their own place. And that gives you a lot of hope. It really does. I think that really inspires more than anything else, is just look over and see people you don't even know for no other reason. They want to see you survive and go on. And so, that's been an amazing couple of days of just witnessing that happening on the property, as people have shown incredible support and love for us in that regard.
And in a time where our country seems to be so divided and so angry at each other, they showed up like 50 people showed up that first day. Yeah. And didn't ask what your politics were or what you thought about COVID. They just said, "Where do you want me?" Yeah. It was an incredible outpouring of love, of caring for each other.
Yeah, and I think that's like the best thing ever. When you experience that kind of unconditional support, and you have people that are just here to say, "I'm here to help," and expect nothing in return. It's more than sometimes you can process emotionally, but it's also very invigorating for your soul when you're feeling defeated, to have people lift you up that way. And I just think it's amazing that we belong to such, we're here in a small community, but it's such a strong and tenacious community that is out there. I walked the block the day before yesterday, and there's other businesses around us that are still digging out, and there's tons of volunteers and those businesses as well, which is great to see. So it's not just us that is receiving that kind of support and love, but it's also happening in surrounding businesses, and that's also great to see, because I know after we kind of got our breath and we could kind of see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel and our initial cleanup, those were the questions we started asking, was who around us needs help? What can we do to help those guys get caught up and get out of the mud and get things done? And we were sharing volunteers around here on the block, which was great. Other businesses that showed up were amazing. I have to say, and we'll talk about this in the next episode, I'll kind of just let you know our next broadcast will be a live broadcast. We're going to have a special guest, Rick Rice from 105 The Mountain is going to join us, and we're going to do almost kind of a telethon type thing to help raise money for the surrounding communities that have been affected. But as we get into this a little bit more in that episode, we'll also talk about, I really want to acknowledge the vast list of people who stepped up and just helped us, and not only in our own beer community, but in our other communities as well. Other businesses that have reached out, private individuals that have reached out, and those things have been amazing. The fraternal spirit of the craft brewing industry is still alive and well, and we felt that initially, just with some great support from breweries like Wicked Weed that took all of our kegs that were in danger because our refrigeration systems went down. They're holding our beer until we can get our refrigeration systems back up. Sierra Nevada sending out technicians to help restore critical functioning operations here on the main level with the brewery system, so that we didn't lose tanks of beer. And the list goes on. There were two amazing women that drove over from Columbus, North Carolina, from Iron Key Brewing Company, and they just brought beer and food and tools to help clean, and they spent the day here with us. And never met them before in our lives, but they saw what was going on Facebook, and they jumped in the truck and came over, and what can we do? And there's many more. We'll talk about them, and there's lots more breweries and companies that have done similar things for us. And then, we're still trying to, uphold our commitment and contract with our community to do what we can while we can. And today, out on our property here, we have Gulf Coast Disaster Relief set up on the property with a mobile kitchen, and they're feeding the community from our property today. They're sending out hundreds and hundreds of meals to workers and families throughout this ravaged community where there's damage and heartache and loss. And so I think that's amazing as well, to just know that that's happening right now as we're still cleaning our own building up. So, what else you want to talk about? This is a heavy episode. It
is, and we built this brewery once. Yeah, we'll build it again. And that's the other thing too that I want to make sure we keep in perspective. Some people might have raised an eyebrow initially, like, why do you have a GoFundMe? Why are you, asking for so much help? You're a business. Well, the reality is, our flood insurance is limited, very limited to what it covers because of how close to the river we are and what we have in the building. But more importantly, this wasn't a corporation that was funded, from corporate money. This is Art's life savings. This is my life savings, my family's life savings that were put into this. So, even though it wasn't our personal homes, all of our personal assets are tied to this, and it's, it is like an extension of our home. It's our home away from home, and our lives are tied up in this personally. It's a small, locally family-owned business, and so we're, also committed to taking care of our employees that are here because they're part of our extended family. And we've got people that we don't want to put people out of work. We want to keep them on payroll, and we know this is going to be probably almost a month-long process to get it fully back online. We're shooting for being back by Oktoberfest, which would be a really great way to celebrate Oktoberfest, is to get the brewery back online and back open to the public. So we're setting goals. We've made incredible progress in 6 days. It's been mind-blowing to me to see the transformation in 6 days. And that's a testament, again, to all the people who have stepped up and come out of the woodwork to be here and help us recover. I can't say thank you enough for that. That is something that is just so monumental that I can't really put that into words at this point. But we're going to share some video with you guys on this episode, some photographs, of the damage and how it went down. But, for me, my final moments of standing on the balcony area over here, watching the river come up and just like a waterfall crash down into the lower level of the building, it haunts me. I mean, when I close my eyes at night, I still see that. I see police lights, flashing in my head. It's a lot to process at times, but simple victories. We get areas cleaned here little by little. Yesterday we got the aquariums restored and got our little friends that are in the aquariums stabilized, and they're happy swimming around today, looking good. So, step by step, we're going to put this back together, and you'll see some changes. There's, our property has been transformed. It won't be the way exactly it was before, but it will be different in a better way. And so you'll see some changes too as we move forward, because one, by necessity, because of the regulations that will be put in place to help prevent further damage in the future, but also because the property has been permanently altered by Mother Nature.
the force of what that water did to our property and how it ripped and tore and stripped away things is impressive when you look at the sheer force of that. And so we'll have to deal with those modifications, and we'll put it back as much as we can, but there'll be some differences that you'll notice and some new things that'll be surprising and good that will come out of this in terms of how the building looks. But
thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for being part of our story and being along for the journey. We feel like this is really important to share this with you and let you know we're okay. We're beaten, but we're not beaten, if that makes sense. We've been beaten up a little bit, but we're not beaten. And so I just want you to know to look for the next episode, please. This is going to be a really good event for us when we do the live coming up next. We'll advertise the dates for that on Facebook and Instagram and our website, so you can look forward to that. And there may be some ways that you want to help out during that broadcast, and there'll be opportunities for you to do that as well. And in the meantime, if you're looking for other ways to help us, just go to our Facebook page, check out the links that we have provided here on the podcast, and I think you'll find there are numerous ways that you can plug in and help us out, and join us on our road to recovery from what Tropical Storm Fred did, and we'll take it from there. But again, from the bottom of my heart, and from Art here, I guess I just want to say thank you again to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being supportive, and we look forward to brighter days ahead and getting back to seeing and visiting with you all. So on that note, we definitely want to say thank you, and until next episode,
cheers.